Happy 4th of July weekend. I am Reverend Karen Lewis. I'm one of the senior ministers here, and I want to let you know, we had it all already this morning. We had such depth and joy together with beloved Beverly, and we listened to an amazing declaration of a new pledge in our pre-service meditation. We had dancing, we had laughter, we had joy, and we are so very, very grateful to share it with all of you. It is a fabulous weekend. If you know me, you know that I love this country. I was not born in America, but I made this my home for the last 35 years. And every time around this 4th of July weekend, I really spent time in contemplation. Do I honor this freedom enough? Do I make myself aware of the goodness that comes with living in America? And I invite us all to spend a moment, if you were born in this country or if you have chosen to make this your home, feel into what does this freedom mean to me? And so today is all about freedom, just as you would expect. We are talking about freedom. I have been so blessed by this week of researching and pulling together different aspects because, as you can imagine, I could talk about freedom until the cows come home, right? Yes, I got it right. Yay! And so my talk title today is Freedom from all discord. Freedom from all discord. And that might sound familiar to you because that is part of the statements that the founder of this teaching, Dr. Ernest Holmes, back in 1927 penned. And he wrote them in the I statement. He said, I believe. And as an organization, we liked them so well that at that time it was decided that we would adapt those as the principles of this teaching. And I am sure if you have the Science of Mind book around where you are, or if you have ever taken a class, you listen to these Sunday morning messages, you have heard us talk about these principles. And as I was reviewing them, I read the one just before the one we are really going to talk about today. And it says, we believe that heaven is within us. Now, heaven means for us the goodness of life, the realization that all is truly well. So we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. Oh, I love that. And then the principle we're going to talk about today is the next one. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. This goal is sure to be attained by all. And when I look at my journey, with this teaching, with these principles, I can pinpoint the time when it became so clear to me that something that happens within me has a lot to do with what is happening out there. And so I like to bring this into speaking about the freedom of thought. We often talk about it. We are free to think our thought. We know that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and the way we pull it into our own personal life, the way we make use of it, is by the power of our thought. And so I think about that often. I think about it every morning when I wake up. I bring myself into a place where I look at the day that is laying ahead of me like a bright white canvas that wants to be colored. And I choose thoughts that uplift me, and I choose thoughts that bring forth more freedom in my life. And it is thanks to this teaching that I learned to do this consciously. Because we all know if we don't bring our attention to something, we have a tendency to fall back onto whatever beliefs we picked up before. So I like to take this time, this day, this focus of freedom to help us perhaps start some new habits. Perhaps you want to join me. Like the first moment when you wake up in the morning, to connect with the possibility that is everywhere. See, I was born on a Sunday. I was born on a Sunday at a time where it was rather unusual to have Sunday babies because doctors and medicine had figured out ways to keep the weekends free of such events. So all through my childhood, I heard, "You are such a Sunday child. You're so lucky. You're such a Sunday child." And I started to think that, that was a bad thing somehow. But what I learned is that luck is really, as the Chinese say, it's the combination of preparedness and opportunity. And when that comes together, that is what we call luck. And so how do we prepare ourselves? How do we lift ourselves up to see a world that works for everyone? Well, it has to start for me right here. It starts for me to think about and look at how can I create this day that it works for me. And then I can expand it so it works for my family because they're benefiting from it, right? How does it work? How does a day, a week that works for the New Vision Center, how does that look? How can I be an instrument that brings forth the power that is greater than each one of us and be a portal for it to come forth to bless this community? And then the ripples go further and further out, right? What can I do to be a part of a movement that claims and holds a world that works for everyone? Sometimes that is so big, it's such a large demand on us that I need to pull back and get back to what can I do? How can I think? How can I relate to this power that it blesses me and those around me? And trust that it works its way out into the world. And then there are moments where I fall short. Human, right? And I have learned to use as a barometer where I am on that leaning into the possibility of everything. When I drive down the street and I see individuals with a sign by the side of the road, whatever the first thought that comes into my mind is, helps me to gauge where I am. Because you see, when we say there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it, that is the truth of everyone. All the time. No exceptions. And so how then can I bring in my mind that apparent chasm of having this power for good and seeing someone apparently in my limited view of their life, seeing that something is not working? How do I bring that together? I do it in a couple ways. One way is that I always remind myself that I see of another only a small part of their entire life. It might be that they are at a valley, it might be that they're on top of the world. And I remind myself it's only a small moment. That helps me to walk back my judgment, my idea of things should be different. All of those discernments that I have within me. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I remind myself of, that when I look at someone at the side of the road, as an example, with a sign, that right there, the potentiality of the divine is fully present. And when I can do that, I can go on with my day. Do you know that Neil Donald Walsh was experiencing homelessness when he entered into the conversations with God and wrote all those books? He was experiencing homelessness. He wasn't thriving in his life, and then he had a car accident, and he ended up having a broken neck. And through months of recuperating from that and the medical bills and all the things that happened, he found himself homeless. And that is where he was open enough to hear the voice of God. There was a movie made about his life, and in this movie there's this one scene where he is sitting with his agent at the publishing place where they said they would like to publish his books, and the publisher's getting ready to offer him, and he says, "We are prepared to offer you $1 million. And in the movie, you can tell underneath the table, the agent is just kicking. He's just kicking Neil and saying, "Don't say a word." Because think about that. From being homeless, experiencing homelessness, and perhaps feeling that there's no access to that power, to being offered $1 million. It's fabulous. It's fascinating. Another great example is Eckhart Tolle. He too experienced homelessness when he connected with the work of his life, that is the now moment, when he realized that we cannot connect to that power in our past, and we cannot look forward and say, "Oh, once I have achieved this, then I will be connecting with that power." But he realized, and so powerfully speaks to it, that this now moment is all that we have. In this now moment is the time where we can open up and feel our connection, our alignment with a power that is greater than we are. So let's take a breath as we recognize those great examples. And there's one more. Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, as most of us know, was in a concentration camp for many years, and he wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book, he speaks so powerfully to how he was able to survive that time, that chaos that was experienced by the world, and especially in a concentration camp. And he survived it by the power of his thought. He decided he's going to walk all through Europe. He's going to walk the streets that he remembered. And he did it 2 steps at a time. And he would imagine walking down these streets that he knew, meeting people that used to live there, having conversations, meeting new people, being inspired by new people. And all of this is taking place in his mind. That is the power and the freedom of thought. Whenever I fall short, I remind myself of this wonderful quote by Thomas Troward, who says, "Our repeated failure to fully act as we would wish must not discourage us. It is the sincere intention that is the essential thing, and this will in time release us from the bondage of habits which at the present seem almost insuperable," which is a great English word. I think we would probably say insurmountable. So this quote helps me that every time when I feel I am falling down on this idea that the power is there, I can use it, when I don't do it, it helps me to harken back to that my intention is there. My intention to see the very, very best in everyone. To see the potential in everyone. Everyone I meet, everyone I have yet to meet. We decided we are going to put the new pledge, the wonderful video that Jolene brought to us in the pre-service meditation. We will put the link to that in Monday's newsletter because it is so beautifully articulated that we are invited to take a look at what am I pledging my life force to? What am I pledging my day to? What am I willing to focus on? What am I willing to give? I believe it's 8 minutes. And some of the things in there that really spoke to me was, I pledge a new pledge to lay down that I compare myself to others. And that I finally accept that who I am is whole, perfect, and complete. There's nothing more that needs to be added. This moment that allows us to let go of the bondage that we have placed upon ourselves. And so I would invite us all into a process, if you're willing, and if it's safe when you're listening to this talk or if you're watching the video, if it's safe for you to close your eyes, I invite you to do that. Breathing in to the place of the Most High. Listen to these words. I pledge allegiance to breaking the self-imposed barriers of my humanness. I recognize that my time on this planet is precious and limited. Every day is a canvas on which I can create. Every day is an opportunity for me to move in the direction of the dreams and the expanded vision that I feel inside. So gently bring yourself back. And my last and final point is something that the travel journalist Doug Boyd said. He said, the most powerful mantra you could ever say is, I am available. But look out. If you are serious, your whole world will change. And that is true. When we come to the universe, when we step up fully prepared to let go of our humanness, let go of our self-imposed bondage, any discord, if we are willing and we prepared ourselves to let it go, and we step up and say, I am available, watch out. The world is going to change. Things that we never thought possible make themselves known. Doorways appear where there was nothing before that even indicated that there would be a solution. Nevertheless, such an elegant one. And so here's the question. Here's the question for all of us. Are we willing, are we at a point in our life at this time in 2020, are we willing to be available? Are we willing to be available for a greater vision that wants to be known through us? It is not a question that can be answered lightly, for it comes with the responsibility to walk it out. When those opportunities come, we have to then feel into, do I have a yes for this? And our life, our world will change. So throughout this week, I invite you to think about that. Am I willing? Am I available? So freedom. These are some of the thoughts I had about freedom I wanted to share with you. The clarity that the freedom of thought is the freedom that can change our entire world. And the invitation to be kind to us when we fall down, perhaps that quote will work for you. And know that it comes with a willingness and an availability to change. I'm so grateful you are on this journey with me, and so it is. And now we take all of this into a prayer. I invite all the practitioners of this teaching to please rise. If you're a minister, please stand with me. Hold this space. As we allow anything that came before this moment to simply drop away. As we feel into the familiarity of how that divine essence feels within us, how the goodness of life shows up for us. So we recognize sweet spirit as love and peace, as harmony, as joy and abundance, as a power greater than we are. And it is in this place, it is right here, that we recognize the power within me is blessing all mankind and is forever healing all with whom I come in contact. The power within me is God, and it must bless and help and heal all who come near it. Silently the work goes on, and silently all are being helped by this inner power which is operating through me as me now. And so we take a moment to recognize the blessing that bubbles up from deep within. This gratitude to know these words of truth, that who we are is a blessing to the world, that our entirety is divinely ordained. How very, very grateful I am to know this truth, to proclaim it, to share it, to live it. And so with an overflowing heart and so much gratitude, I simply place this word into universal law, knowing that it is done, it is complete. And so it is.